Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Friday night, our Non Messianic Conversation night, the 26th of May, 2023. 2023. The topic is the church corrupted our scriptures, right? So, with that being said, and let everybody know that you can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have a lot of videos posted on the channel. There's a lot of information given, videos we connect dots for anyone that's seeking the truth, and it will lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you're hearing and receiving on the channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel. Okay, and for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Those given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. We don't subscribe to the New Testament. Okay. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our non-Messianic conversation. We're going to deal with the moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms. We're going to do some current events, a little need to know information. Then we open up for some Q&A and some dialogue, and then we'll go into the topic. The church corrupted the Hebrew scripture. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee this hour, seeking thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea. Hear, O Lord, hear and do. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. Okay. What's up with you?
Shalom, bro. Shalom.
Okay. So let me read the Psalms right quick. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalms 135. It's the greatness of the Lord and the vanity of idols. Praise ye the Lord. Praise ye the name of the Lord. Praise him, O ye servants of the Lord, ye that stand in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of our God. Praise the Lord, for the Lord is good. Sing praises unto his name, for it is pleasant. For the Lord hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his particular treasure. For I know that the Lord is great, and that our Lord is above all gods. Whatsoever the Lord pleased, that did he in heaven, and in the earth, and in the seas, and all the deep places. He causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning from the rain. He bringeth the wind out of his treasures. Who smote the firstborn of Egypt, both of man and beast? Who sent tokens and wonders into the midst of thee, O earth, upon Pharaoh and upon all his servants? Who smote great nations and slew mighty kings? Sihon, king of Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan, and all the kingdoms of Canaan, and gave their land for a heritage unto Israel, his people. Thy name, O Lord, endureth forever, and thy memorial, O Lord, throughout all generations. For the Lord will judge his people, and he will repent himself concerning his servants. The idols of heaven are silver and gold, and the work of men's hands. No, the idols of the heathen are silver and gold, the works of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is there any breath in their mouths. They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. Bless the Lord, O house of Israel. Bless the Lord, O house of Aaron. Bless the Lord, O house of Levi. Ye that fear the Lord. Bless the Lord. Blessed be the Lord out of Zion, which dwelleth at Jerusalem. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, that was Psalms 135. It's the greatness of the Lord and the vanity of idols. Any comments on that? Okay, I just wanted to shine a light on a couple of verses. It says, praise ye the Lord. Praise ye the name of the Lord. Praise him, O ye servants of the Lord. So that's verse 1. So who is this Lord in this psalm? And then we're going to see in different precepts right here. So it says in verse 4, the Lord hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel his particular treasure. For I know the Lord is great, and that our Lord is above all gods. So this Lord is above all gods, lowercase. We know that that's angels. Okay, and then verse 6, whatsoever the Lord pleased that he did in heaven, and in the earth, and in the sea, and in these places. He caused the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning from the rain. He bringeth the winds out of his treasure. Who smart, look at this. It says 6, whatsoever the Lord pleased, that did he in heaven, and in the earth, and in the seas, and all the deep places. He causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning for the rain. He bringeth the winds out of his treasures. Then verse 8, who smote the firstborn of Egypt, both man and beast. Who did that?
The Lord of hosts.
Okay, exactly. Who sent tokens and wonders into the midst of thee, O Egypt, upon Pharaoh and upon all his servants, who smote great nations and slew mighty kings, Sihon, king of the Amorites, king of Bashan, and all the kingdoms of the earth. And he gave their land, look at this, he gave their land for a heritage unto Israel, his people. So who Israel belonged to?
The Lord of hosts.
Okay, so we see right
Yes,
here,
sir.
it ain't talking about Yahweh.
Yes, sir.
If you're ignorant, you would think it's who he's talking about, but he ain't talking about Yahweh.
Yes,
Ain't
sir.
that something?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go into some current events. This is pretty interesting to me because I keep on telling you about dealing with the de-dollarization and the Road and Belt Initiative to show you how everything closing in. If you're trying to figure out what's going on, where we at, all you gotta do is keep your eyes on those things. Okay. So let's look at this. I told you what the Road and Belt Initiative was. Let me play this right here. Then I play this other video. Okay. People. Okay.
Initiative. The BRI is a gigantic plan for a global network of ports, roads, railways, and
BRI stands for Belt and Road Initiative.
Other infrastructure to connect China to the world.
我们的共同目标是 携手努力让各国互联互通更加有效。
The most expensive infrastructure project in history.
The Belt and Road Initiative, a boom, a bust, or just a buzzword?
It is also a way through which China confirms its role as a global power.
The US and other Western countries are worried and recently announced their own plan.
We think that there's a much more equitable way to provide for the needs of countries around the world.
So what exactly is the BRI? What's in it for China? And why do some countries see a big economic opportunity while others see a threat? Think of the BRI as both a massive trade network and a political vision. It started with a speech that President Xi Jinping made back in Kazakhstan in 2013. He talked about building a new trade route based on the old Silk Road, an ancient network that linked Asia, the Middle East, and Europe for almost 2,000 years.
It started out in 2013 as an idea to invest in infrastructure from China through Central Asia to Europe and Africa. But over the years, it has become something much larger.
It's an absolutely colossal project, which is scheduled to involve 60% of the world population.
The Belt and Road Initiative basically weaves together lots of projects. It could be China building things from scratch, upgrading existing infrastructure, handing out loans, or making investments. There are overland routes that connect China to Central and South Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. That's the Belt. It includes what's called the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, where around $60 billion are being spent on things like coal and hydro power plants, wind farms, highways, and a new high-speed rail link between Peshawar and Karachi. Then there's the road part, which is slightly confusing because it actually refers to a maritime Silk Road, sea routes that connect China to Southeast Asia, Africa, and Europe. It includes major investments in ports across the world, places like Sri Lanka, Dubai, Djibouti, Greece, and Spain, even as far as Peru.
There are a lot of different initiatives, and the Belt and Road has become more of a label to capture a lot of what is going on.
Now, we listed some of the big examples, but BRI specifics are hard to come by. There's actually no confirmed list of everything and everyone involved, but it's estimated to include 2,600 projects in more than 100 countries. And that makes it hard to come up with an accurate price tag.
It is predicted that China's overall expenses over the duration of the initiative could reach $1.2 to $1.3 trillion by 2027.
So what's the end game here? Well, for China, the BRI is obviously about trade.
China imports a tremendous amount of raw materials, and they export a tremendous amount of value-added goods. In order to do that, they need access to these various resource countries and also markets.
But all this global interconnectedness and the huge amount of money involved means the Belt and Road Initiative is also political.
So what China's trying to do partly is to create a sort of web of interdependence. So it's telling other countries, look, you lack roads, you lack bridges, you lack railways, you lack power stations, a power grid. What we can do is come in, lend lots of money, and our companies can come in and build this for you. Okay? But once countries become economically dependent on China, clearly there's then a geopolitical impact too.
By building all this stuff, China is also exporting its version of economic development. Now, the way the West has usually done it is to provide economic support, but with conditions attached, like certain democratic reforms. China's style is different.
They're not like the IMF or the World Bank, where they come in, assess the country, and say, look, this is what you need to do, A, B, C, D, then we'll give you the money. China comes in and said, look, we'd like to support an infrastructure program that makes sense. What infrastructure needs do you have?
The World Bank reckons that China's BRI projects could lift more than 7 million people out of extreme poverty, and that transport projects could boost global trade by up to 6.2%. And of course, there are lots of countries eager to take China's money. Djibouti is one example. Its BRI projects include a major port, a new railway line to the Ethiopian capital, and a gas pipeline. China's put up around $14 billion in investments and loans for Djibouti between 2012 and 2020. But there are risks, like corruption. especially because there's so much secrecy surrounding most of these BRI deals.
Unfortunately, a lot of these countries, it becomes a political situation where people are putting projects where it best suits them politically. Surprise, surprise, if you you look down the list of projects and who is in power, you'll find that almost always there's a connection.
So it's politicians making these deals. And there are plenty of examples of ordinary people losing out. Another thing to remember is that with all the talk of Chinese money funding these projects, it's often more accurate to say that it's actually Chinese loans. And that creates another risk, that some countries could be taking on too much debt. Remember Djibouti? It's facing what the World Bank calls debt distress. Its debt to China amounts to 70% of its GDP. And look at Sri Lanka.
This brilliant trick will keep your home pest free forever, no matter what.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa borrowed billions to develop a massive new port. When Sri Lanka struggled to pay back the money, it ended up with a new deal that gave China control of the port for 99 years. That led to accusations that the loans compromised Sri Lanka's sovereignty, which China denies.
China's dominance here in Sri Lanka cannot be ignored. This, its latest project, Sri Lanka's largest single foreign direct investment. And now China is back again, offering Sri Lanka more billion-dollar loans.
It's this kind of thing that's led to some people calling the Belt and Road Initiative a debt trap for vulnerable countries. Others disagree.
It is quite extreme to portray this as a trap. China is successful in appealing to willing counterparts.
And it seems this success has got Western powers, especially the United States, paying more attention. At the recent G7 summit, they set out their own plan, complete with its own snazzy abbreviation B3W, which stands for Build Back Better World. They're emphasizing things like transparency, good governance, the environment, and bringing in the private sector to help fund it all. But B3W is thin on details. There's no budget and no timetable.
I can't see anything that they've identified in this program which isn't already being done by the World Bank and the IMF and the ADB and the other investment banks that are out there.
The main focus of this is both on values. However, practically, when talking about funds and like actual capability of building infrastructures, that's a whole other story. Ultimately, the participating powers will have to show they have the money and capability to push this initiative during COVID-19 crisis.
Now, one way to look at all this is that it's another area of competition between China and the West.
Will countries, particularly in the developing world, cast their lot in with China, with their autocratic approach to governing, or are they going to stay with the West, with democracy?
But maybe there's another way to look at it. If China and the West are competing, that could give more choice, more opportunity, and crucially, more money to developing countries that desperately need it.
The developing world has agency and can decide for itself how it wants to engage in terms of the development agenda.
The U.S. can say, well, we'll offer better terms, and we're nicer guys, and we're ideologically, preferable. But I don't know what that means, if you build a road. A road is a road. As long as the quality is correct and the price is right.
The Belt and Road Initiative is about China's position in the world. It's their strategy to outshine everyone on the international stage. But some countries really don't like the idea of the Chinese calling the shots.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
I think China is pretty much running circles around everyone when it comes to a lot of things. So they looking at becoming, over the U.S. and Europe,
Right.
like that when it comes to import and export, basically trying to cut out the middleman. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to China boosting their income and their economic ways, they leading the pack on that. And always have.
Exactly.
They
Right.
always coming up, with better ways to do things.
Right. And yeah, my thing is when you understand this, the reason why I keep on talking about it, where is it at in scripture? That's the trick. Okay. So somebody got something?
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I see, this is my point of view, I see that China is trying again to take over and take over the ports, put these little countries and things that's borrowing the money into debt when they know they won't ever pay them back or cannot pay them back. And it's just like to me, it's buying their property, buying up property in Africa. And it's basically buying their ports. They're buying it, and if they're helping them out, but yet buying it. They said they can make 20,000 homes in 3 days. How are they going to pay that back? So they bought the land that they're putting these homes on. I don't see them doing, to me, they're not doing such a justice to me. Now, in the Bible, it says Magog and God, where I gotta go to that verse, where he's against them. And I think China is Magog, isn't it?
Yeah, one of them, Western China is Gog and Magog.
Yes. So, how does that play a part of something good? That's just a question.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. My point, my thing is, it says Jacob he loved, Esau he hate. So we talked about that before. He loved Jacob because Jacob is supposed to be, when the right, he's talking about his right hand, the laws, the statutes, and the judgments that he gave Jacob was for him to use those statutes and those judgments to keep the rest of the world in line. So that's why he loved Jacob, because he loved judgment. So, but why do he hate Esau? Because Esau is a robber. How? Through usury. He the one created the bank. He the one created the banking system, and Most High says, don't lend money to your neighbor. You help him. You don't lend money to him and put interest on it. So my thing is this: based on what they just said about the nickname they gave the Road and Better Initiative, was that it's a death trap. It's a debt trap. They loaning money to the nations, knowing they can't pay it back because of the interest. So that, to me, that identifies Esau.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's not China. It's not God. God it says it's the harlot. It's a whore that's controlling it. The last beast is a whore controlling it. So who is the whore? Israel is a woman. Israel is the Most High bride. But you got people over there right now in the land of Israel that's posing as a bride. That's the whore. The bankers. The international bankers, the ones that behind the monetary fund and all these bankers, this banking system they got spread over the whole earth. The headquarters in London. So just like the transatlantic slave trade, to keep the blood off of their hands, they had all these other companies posted up as they was the ones running them. But Esau the culprit. You can see his fingerprints all over this Road and Better Initiative. Okay.
So you're saying China is the puppet?
Right. Front man. They're using them as a front man. Just like they did with all the ships that was being I can't think of the name of that. It was that company that pretty much all the slave ships was being governed by. Esau owned it. Edomites owned those countries, owned those ships. Edomites owned all the plantations, but they had other people fronting, people sitting up there like they was the plantation owners, but they got their money from Esau. Even this country here, when it was during the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, they ran out of money. They went to the Edomites and got the money they needed to pay the military. George Washington went to those Edomites. That's why you got all those Jewish symbols all over the dollar bill. That was in thanks for what they did for them. He gave them that money to, to feed the army, the militia and all the army he had. But the 13 colonies, the Edomites. And that's where everybody did hoodwinked at. Been glossed over that whole story and who was behind it and all that. Like I said, they came out of Spain. The 3 ships, even the conception, so-called conception from Columbus, he's an Edomite. He came out of Spain. Well, when they done lied to us and told us that Israel, the Israelites, the real Israelites, were driven out in 70 AD, but they wasn't. They was driven out in 143 BC. That's why they scattered all over Africa. They've been there ever since. But Esau came in and stole the land. That's why he hated him. He a robber. Came in and robbed the land of Israel. He was ran out in 70 AD. And they gave Herod's lineage, the royalties of Herod's lineage, safe passage to Spain. So Columbus came on the scene out of Spain. That's when the West got to where it's at today. Some Edomites. They was behind both of the world wars. And both of those world wars was to get them to finagle the situation to get back around and getting back in the land of Israel. And at the end of the World War II, they made a deal. I think it's the Bretton Woods Agreement deal, where they ended up back in the land of Israel. The whore. That's riding on the 4B.
So the West is never going to be out of debt with them.
No, it's a game. It's a stage. It got all that stage. It's all that stage. When you understand what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Right. So like I was saying, this whole thing with the shipping containers. Look at the Road and Belt Initiative. They doing all that. They orchestrating that because they're bringing this in place. But here go the next video right here. This will make a lot of sense. This is where we at today.
Use China's growing global high street to half of all shipping containers going anywhere in the world. Use China's growing global high street statistics now show. Today, 149 of the world's roughly 200 nations have signed up for the New Silk Road, the biggest trade-sharing project in human history. The project was launched 10 years ago as the Silk Road Economic Belt. It is now known as the BRI, standing for Belt and Road Initiative. The belt refers to the Silk Road Economic Belt, the land tracks of famous travelers such as Marco Polo and Ibn Battuta used in the north. Now the road refers to the sea lanes of the sea voyages of Ming Dynasty explorer.
So even the name of this project, the Road and Belt Initiative, who would name that? Will it be the Chinese or will it be Esau? He the one who hoarded up all the knowledge and history of the world. He the one that we go back from time immemorial that's hoodwinking everybody. That's him that's selling the lame animals to the people in Israel during the time of so-called JC. Mm-hmm. That's him. They're not Edomites. They're not Israelites. So this usury go way back. He got his stamp on it.
Zhenghe in the south. The project is enjoying some success now, but the ultimate long-term aim is even more ambitious: to create global peace through shared prosperity by 2049. It's a brilliant goal, but difficult. After its 2013 launch, the New Silk Road grew fast. By 2017, the BRI project was already one of the largest infrastructure and investment projects in human history. By then, China had made deals with 68 countries.
And think about all the drama that went on. 2018, 2020, or the jab, all that. All this still going on. All that was distraction to throw us off. But look where they are now. Half of the world tied into distribution that's going on through the Road and Belt Initiative. And it's gaining more and more ground faster and faster.
Covering 65% of the world's population.
that?
Now, with 149 countries on the list, the size of the global benefits can be calculated.
Why don't
the
everybody
BRI
know?
project is likely to increase the world's GDP by 7.1 trillion a year by 2040. That's according to research by London-based consultancy group Centre for Economics and Business Research. Prosperity will be boosted as improved infrastructure reduces frictions that hold back world trade. That's what the analyst said from that group. The BRI works by the creation of massive infrastructure projects such as superhighways, rail links, ports, and these boost trade and transport for everyone. The World Bank has estimated that the BRI can boost trade flows in participating countries by a healthy 4.1% annually, helping poor nations to develop. But we should remember that none of this is free. The project is a huge gamble for China. It involves that country, though still at a developing stage, investing astonishing amounts of money and time in creating infrastructure in nations around the world. Now, that money often goes to poorer countries. Those include, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, in South Asia, a number of nations in Africa, also Latin America. This is often a thankless task. Some countries will pay the Chinese back, some will not. A significant number will ask for financial deals to be renegotiated, and a number have already done so. There's been a host of attempts made to label the BRI project as debt traps to ensnare poor countries. But the charges in general have not stuck. Chinese interest rates are similar or lower than those from other sources. In cases where difficulties have arisen, the debts have been renegotiated and in some cases cancelled. For example, the Chinese were blamed for the debt problems of Sri Lanka. But data released by that country this week showed that only 14% of its debt was owed to China. The vast majority was owed to Western banks and Western vulture funds. But the BRI project is not without its critics. The Silk Road project was denounced in its early years by the West as a terrible idea. And then the West launched a copy of it, and then a second, and then a third. But Western efforts have never really gained much traction, despite the West's ownership, control of the international media. To some analysts, this is really a clash of philosophies. China builds relationships through its skill in creating infrastructure in extraordinarily difficult environments. But China has very low-level skills in Western-style narrative creation. In contrast, the US uses the international media to paint itself as a registered good guy owner of concepts such as freedom, democracy, and human rights, while relentlessly interfering in the politics of countries around the world. Yet ultimately, the US may control the global narrative, but it can't control reality. Some 87% of the world does not live in the West, and the governments of those people have to go with what works. Well-built infrastructure projects, good roads, rail links, prospects of increased trade. These are all things that benefit societies everywhere. Peace through shared prosperity is a grand concept and a worthy goal, but it can only be achieved by small, practical steps, brick by individual brick.
Okay, so we see that if you did your homework or whatever, we know that the Rothschilds, the Rothschilds and those they came from Hershey, Hampshire, whatever his name was, and his 5 sons. They got pretty much 2/3 of the world's money. So where that money at? Where it's China? Where does money come from? The China guy? No, it's the same money. Rothschilds, the Edomites. We got you thinking it's dealing with China. Who built China up? Like I said, back in the late 80s, in the early 90s, they moved all these countries that made America great, they moved them to China. The owners of the companies, which is Edomites, not Chinese, they the ones built up China. So I want to read something right quick before I play this next video. trying to get somebody, get people informed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in Isaiah chapter 60. Like I said, where is this stuff at in Scripture? You know, in Revelation. So it says in chapter 60, it says, get it. Right, so I'm start reading at verse 60, Isaiah 60, starting at verse 1. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the whole earth, gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they that gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear, be enlarged, because of the abundance of the sea. Abundance of the sea. See that? That's where that's where all the money being made. And just transport and ports and all that, where all the money being made. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. The multitude of camels shall cover thee. The drummery of Midian and Ephah, all they that of Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense. They shall show forth praises of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebat shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance upon mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. Who are these? This is where I'm going right here. Who are these that fly as cloud and as doves to their window? Then verse 9, Isaiah 60 and 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarsus first, to bring thy sons from afar, and thy silver and thy gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. So he telling us right here, ships gonna bring us back. And that's only not quite natural, because that's what brought us over here. So he tells us 9, surely the hour shall wait for thee, and the ships of Tarsus first, to bring thy sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. Now let's look at this. Like I said, they talk about it's only 4 beasts. There's only 4 beasts that Daniel told us about, and we're in the 4 beasts. So we just saw the ships gonna take us back, right? So let's look at this.
This episode of What's Going On with Shipping. China is the world's largest shipbuilder. I'm your host, Adam McCaglano. Welcome to this episode of What's Going On with Shipping. If you're new to the channel, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Well, just got back from a week at Wilmington for the North American Society for Oceanic History, and as you can see, still quite hasn't recovered from the week. So I'll be back in form starting the next episode. But for right now, I want to talk about a story that hit on CNN just the other day that talks about China's shipbuilding program and the impact it's going to have not just on naval and military, but also on commercial. Because China has emerged as the world's largest shipbuilder of both naval vessels and commercial vessels, but not just for itself. Okay, this is a lot, but this is the launch of the newest.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
Aircraft carrier, the Fushan 003. The Chinese have 2 aircraft carriers One of them, 001, was a modification of a former Russian vessel. 002 was their own purpose-built carrier. And now we have 003. And in this carrier is the first super carrier being built by the Chinese. This carrier is a super carrier. It is not as large as a Ford-class aircraft carrier, but it is massive, 80,000 tons. It is about the size or larger than conventional aircraft carriers the United States ran. And this aircraft carrier poses a severe test to the U.S. military and the ability of the Chinese to power project. So the story is entitled.
So let's look at it. Let's look at this. Like I was saying, with the, it's a dead cat on the line, because when you look at the 400-year prophecy, like I said, go back and look at when it happened. Abraham, the one made the Most High gave Abraham the dream, and then so now they applying that to America 400 years. But when Abraham gave the dream, that was before they even went into Egypt. So these angels gonna come and they're gonna prophesy to Abraham, bypass Egypt. Abraham gonna get a vision and bypass what's getting ready to happen that happened in Egypt to 400 years. So right here, look who's building all the big ass ships. So you let them tell them the so-called prophecy revealers, or whatever you want to call them. They say America is Babylon. America supposed to be building the ships. Like I said, where they said in Scripture, in Revelation, they building the biggest ships ever been built. This is dead cat on the line. You see that? So they're not just building the biggest ships, merchant ships. They're building the biggest warships. So my thing is this: it's only 4 beasts, right? And then on top of that, you mean how you get around that? Did anybody see 2012, the movie?
I haven't.
Nobody seen it? Nobody on here saw the movie 2012?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you need to go watch it. Watch the end of it. They said the world was going to come to an end in 2012. They made that movie, and what happened was the earth got flooded. When the earth got a big old tsunami came, and the earth got covered up, but everybody had it. They were sending people out. The Chinese were sending out these little cards and little tokens to certain people that they was going to allow to. They was building ships, and if you got that token, they sent out groups of people, contingents of people to pick those people up that they had chosen and brought them to China. They all had these big old docking port places with these huge ships. And they brought animals, and just like the Noah's Ark, they brought all these different animals and all that to survive what was getting ready to happen. But it was in China. That was way back in 2012. Like I said, go watch the movie. These big old huge ships. And all the people got on like oversized carnival ships with everything on them.
Yeah, they called them arcs in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I was saying before, they already know what's happening. It's all this being orchestrated. So, like I said before, this ain't in Scripture. You know what I'm saying? They telling you, they point blank say, Mystery Babylon is America. We see America going down. We see China already in roads. Look at what's going on with the Road and Belt Initiative. Where is that in prophecy? Okay. Ain't this something? So anybody got any comments on that?
No, sir.
Brother Leonard, I know that first video you played, right? They were saying Silk Road.
Right.
Right. So they kept. She said at one point, New Silk Road. So therefore, it had to be an original Silk Road.
Okay.
That was there somewhere, right? So that just kind of caught my attention when she said New Silk Road, right? So I pulled it up. So it's saying that
Marco Polo.
Right, the original Silk Road started back in 206 BC.
Right. Let's tell you about.
Right.
Let's tell
So
you about that in history. Yeah.
Right.
In history.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so like I said, like I was saying, who would know that? The Chinese or Esau?
Mm-hmm.
Esau the one with he the bearer of all the knowledge. He the one who can confiscate all the knowledge. He the one so-called burned down. We know he burned all the books through Antioch Epiphanes. They burned all the books of the law in Israel. They the ones that confiscated all the books in Egypt. That's what's in the Vatican. He the one who have all the knowledge. So the name itself, the Road and Belt Initiative, is give it away. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anybody else got any comments on that? Is that anything else, Michelle?
No, sir.
Okay. So here we go right here. This is the dagger in the Israelite back right here.
Others here, and he's going to touch on, something that I've talked about many times before. Them folks are really getting out of America. They really are. They're packing their bags, they're taking their money, and they going to other countries. Let's go ahead and roll that through.
I mean white people.
Who know that?
White people, right? Last time I went to Ghana, most of the flight was full of white people. You understand? When I was in Jamaica, I took one of my friends to the picker office for him to work on his citizenship, his residency, all that stuff. There's nothing but white people in there. They're moving out of the country. That's why they're making a big fuss of it. These white people are taking $500,000, $800,000, $1 million out of the nation and building their lives over in the African and Caribbean nations right now. They're not going to Europe. They're going to Africa and the Caribbean. While we, as Black Americans, refuse to leave. We're dug in, right? So what's happening is the country is sinking. You understand? The United States is going to put a clamp on that bleeding. And then when we realize we're African and we try to leave, we're not going to be able to go anywhere because you're not going to be able to get your money out of the country. That's what's going to happen. Trust me. That's the future. That's what's going to happen. It's not a fear tactic. Somebody said that to me. Oh, you're trying to make us scared. No, I'm just trying to warn you because I still give a shit about you. Nobody else cares about you. I give a fuck. I still care about my people. I want you to be successful and I see what's coming. And I want to be able to say in my heart, I want to sleep like a baby at night knowing that I told you. And you just did whatever you wanted. Your ass got clipped. That's your problem.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But I absolve myself at this point. I told y'all what's happening. You ignore me, it's your life.
What this brother said is spot on. In 2018, when I first went to Ethiopia, the plane was full of them folks. 2019, when I went to Kenya for the first time, plane full of them folks. I turn around, I go back to Kenya. Next one after the pandemic was South Africa. I went to South Africa in 2022. The plane, of course, full of folks. Then I went back to Kenya in November of 2022. Plane full of them folks. March 2023, went back to South Africa. Plane full of them folks. He's not lying on anything that he's saying. And they are going to African countries and Caribbean countries. They don't even want to be in their own homeland. And that's the interesting part. They have a whole homeland of European countries. They don't want to be over there. They want to be where the black people are at.
I mean white people. White people, right? Last time I went to Ghana, most of the flight was full of white people. You understand? When I was in Jamaica, I took one of my friends to the picker office for him to work on his citizenship, his residency, all that stuff. There's nothing but white people in there. They're moving out of the country. That's why they're making a big fuss of it. These white people are taking $500,000, $800,000, $1 million out of the nation and building their lives over in the African and Caribbean nations right now. They're not going to Europe.
And some of these people, believe it or not, don't like black people, some of them. And they still want to go be in a black country. They can't stay away from black people. I never understood that. It's like, if you don't like black people, why do you want to go around them? They got those who don't like black people going. I've covered it in the past, that one story covered where you had one of them called a black person the N-word at a Ugandan hotel years ago. Why would you go to a Uganda at all if you don't like black people? All those European countries, you can go to Canada, you can go anywhere in the Western world, and you don't have to see a whole lot of black folk, but yet you still want to be around black people. I told you, they have a very, very deep love and satanic hate for black folk.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope the
stand us, they can't be away from us. No matter where we go, they're going to follow behind us. I'm telling you, there's nowhere you can't go that they won't follow you. Let's say you leave and go to another city, here they come trickling in. Like, okay, we're over here. Why are you here? You go to the continent of Africa, you look up, they trickling in. But you don't like black people, though. But the ones who are leaving, they see the writing on the wall. They have a lot of rich people. They have got other homes and different citizenships outside the United States because they see the writings on the wall. And one thing what the brother said, I said that many times before, get your passports, start traveling. Make relationships with people outside the United States in black nations. And if you ever have to pick up and go somewhere, you got relationships, you know how to navigate, you know how to do everything. Because what's going down, let me tell you something, what's going down in Florida right now, that's a test.
Exactly.
All the draconian things that they're doing, trying to set up a special military force, stopping people at the borders of Florida, getting rid of the education. Like, it's literally enacting Nazi Germany. That's exactly what they're doing. And notice Biden haven't said a word about Florida. He hasn't sent a DOJ to put lawsuits on them to do nothing. He's been quiet because they agree with it. I tell you, Democrats and Republicans are the same. You're all the same. With black folks, you do need to get your house in order, completely. And like the brothers say, some of y'all have anchoring yourself down here and listening to people telling you we got to think about government.
Oh, yeah.
And the government,
exactly.
And the government, the American government not going to do a bunch of nothing for black folks unless you force them to.
And building their lives over in the African and Caribbean nations right now. They're not going to Europe. They're going to Africa and the Caribbean. While we, as Black Americans, refuse to leave. We're dug in, right? So what's happening is the country is sinking. You understand? The United States is going to put a clamp on that bleeding. And then when we realize we're African and we try to leave, we're not going to be able to go anywhere because you're not going to be able to get your money out of the country. That's what's going to happen.
But the easiest thing for you to do is prepare yourself and make relationships, get your property. I don't care if you go buy you an apartment in another country.
So what's going on? Like I said before, right dividing the scriptures. So we see, the God of Israel, he changed not. He don't get beat the hell out of and hung on the cross and then die and come back. You don't see that. You don't see them doing that to him in the Old Testament. So there ain't none of him. So we see in the Old Testament there was two baskets of figs. The wicked basket was off, thrown, but the righteous basket zeroed in on their God, and they dealt with their God, and they saw the signs and they reacted. So we basing our stuff off of a wicked basket. If you still sitting here hollering about you America your home, you want to be Israel over here, then something ain't right with you. That's the wicked basket. Okay, that's where we at. Talking about I can believe it. I believe what I want. That's what you believe. This is what I believe. Ain't how it work. And that's what we predicated off of. The boule. They part of the wicked ass basket. And we getting our making our decision based off of them. That's what they done to us when they came in and hoodwinked our scriptures and gave us that fake God over the New Testament. We ass backwards. Like I said, we see all the signs. They right here in our face. Okay? Any comments? Anybody got a comment?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, so we see we way off. And like I said, that's part of what they done to us. For like I was talking about what we see China doing. It's not gonna just like the fallen angels and and Samuel in the garden. You think he came all the way? He tells you when the Most High shined the light to return to the earth and shine the light on the earth. He was floating out of darkness, and they woke him up. He came to the garden. Where you thought he was gonna go? You think he was gonna all of a sudden say, "No, I ain't gonna go to the garden where Adam and Eve at"? Hell no, he going to the garden. Same thing right now. He going. When Main Street, with Abraham sacrificing Isaac, you think he wasn't gonna show up? They gonna show up. China, you think they're gonna stop what they're doing? Or Esau gonna stop what he's doing? No, it's been already prophesied. And they're doing exactly what he said he prophesied they was gonna do. But we sitting there, we fumbling with it. It's like while we sitting there witnessing this, looking at it. It's the same way when you go to the Most High told Jeremiah to tell the Israelites during the time of Nebuchadnezzar, go there, you're going to Babylon for 70 years. You're gonna serve Nebuchadnezzar, his son and his grandson. That's 70 years. Right? We look in the scriptures. Belshazzar was his grandson. So you think the Medes and Persians and Cyrus just popped up out the blue? Hell no. The whole known world knew about them, just like we looking at now. You think China gonna go away? No, we looking at China rise. So eventually when the dollar fall, America collapse, and China take over, it ain't gonna no surprise. We've been looking at all the news, especially here on Process of Awakening. You're looking at all the information. It shouldn't be a surprise. It's the same thing back then. When the Greeks came, you think the Medes and Persians didn't know about the Greeks was coming? So they wasn't. Belshazzar wasn't. It wasn't no surprise that Belshazzar when Cyrus overtook Babylon. They had been hearing about the Medes and Persians, wrecking havoc everywhere. They ain't just pop up out the blue. Same thing right here. We looking at it. We looking at it unfold. Okay. Any comments?
Yes, sir. In Revelations, does it say that China will have 200 million people in their army?
This is Gog and Magog.
Yes.
It's two different nationalities of people.
Well, Gog.
Russia and China.
Okay. But they have the 2 million people in their army. Are they still going to have that army?
You can say that, but that's just like the let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So you got 4 horsemen, right?
Yes, sir.
Coming the black horse, the white horse, the grizzly horse, right?
Yes, sir.
It's in Revelation. Well, let me show you where they got that from. Okay. Let me get it. Zechariah. Chapter. Let me get it. Yeah, chapter 6 says, read chapter 6. 4 chariots. And I turned, I lifted up mine eyes, and I looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of brass. And in the first chariot were red horses. In the second chariot, black horses. In the third chariot, white horses. In the fourth chariot, grizzled bay horses. So like I was saying, like you could have trained a baboon to do that. It said exact same thing in Revelations. Bay. You don't hear that every day. Somebody saying bay. Bay horses. Well, it says the same thing right here. 3. The third chariot had white horses, and the fourth chariot had grizzle or bay horses. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the spirits of the four these are the 4 spirits of heaven, which go from standing before the Lord of the whole earth. So this is where they got it from. So you can't put no credibility on nothing in Revelations.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? So that's where they got this from. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, if I could just interject something.
Okay.
If you look at the population of China, you know how many people they have in China, sister?
No, sir. I know at one point they said they had more people than any other nation, but I don't know the number.
Yeah, Leonard, what's China, like 1.5 billion or something?
Yeah, I think it's 2.
It's 2 billion people.
Right.
So what would 200 million mean if they were in their army, you think? So China actually right now, I believe, has somewhat around 100. It's either, don't quote me, I just watched something, somebody was breaking it down. So in their active, not reserve, but active military alone, I'll say this, they have over 100 million. Russia in its active military alone has over 85 million. So they have the people, they have the numbers, if that's what you're looking for, that answer. So they have, so you gotta look at how China is structured. It's a communistic party, it's a communistic country, well-disciplined people. So you better believe every child aspires to be in the military for the most part in China. They probably have more if China wasn't so strict on what they require you to be in their military. Far-fetched from our military where you could be whatever you want to be, just as long as you're willing to join. So yeah, there's a lot of disciplined soldiers that China has. There's a lot of disciplined soldiers that Russia have. They got the numbers. It's the best thing I can say. They got the numbers. According to whatever Revelations was talking about, these people got the numbers.
Yes, sir. So while I was listening to you, I went on Google and asked something about the YouTube and the information they put out. One of it said, CBS News, China's populations dropped first time in 60 years. This is 4 months ago. Then they have another one. Why is China's population going to keep dropping or going down? That was 4 months ago. So I don't know. It's just so much when we look at these information and look it up.
That's if you think about it, that's CBS telling you something. So that's the mass media right there. So the mass media's goal is to always keep you propping up America. So it's the same sequence that they tell us that China is such and so steps behind us in warfare and things of that nature. That doesn't make sense. China is not behind us in anything. But they're gonna continue to sell their people that belief that China is behind behind us on everything that they're doing when it comes to strategies and infrastructure and business. But we're seeing it right now. That's not the case. So it's CBS's job. They keep one eye open. It's their job to continue to propagate or to feed us propaganda that these other countries are weaker than ours. It's not what's really the truth.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, another way to look at that like I was saying about it's not China that's winning all the money. When you go back and deal with history, it's Esau, the Rothschilds, and that group right there. They're the ones winning all the money in the world. They're the only ones can be able to do something like the Road and Belt Initiative. And so we go back in history with Napoleon. Those Edomites they brought Napoleon on the scene, right? They brought Hitler on the scene, and then both Hitler and Napoleon got out of hand. So what happened? Let's look at Napoleon. When Napoleon got out of hand and didn't want to listen to them no more, his handlers, which was Edomites, what they do? They got all the nations. They controlled all the armies. They brought all the armies together and they met Napoleon at Waterloo. There go your 200 million man army right there. Esau controlling all that. So they couldn't. When Napoleon didn't understand that until they cornered him at Waterloo. They had all the. You got to go back and look at how the Rothschilds made their money. They had control of all these different armies, mercenary armies that people would pay them to bring soldiers in. And like I said, that because they didn't hid themselves in the scriptures. That's like the fourth beast. The fourth beast is Edom. It's not. It ain't no. It's Edom is the fourth beast. Rome is Edom. But the average person don't know that. Those are Edomites. The same people that's over there today posting as Israel. That's the fourth beast. But they got you looking at it as Rome and the Romans and all that. No, the Rome merged with Esau, and they became one nation. Rome, like he said, it's a whore, it's a harlot controlling the four beasts. It ain't but one harlot. That's fake Israel. People that say they're Jews and are not. They the ones controlling all these armies. That's where the UN is.
Right.
Esau behind that.
Right.
Okay.
So Leonard, a modern day will be what they did to Iraq then.
Right. Exactly. Right.
How
So
they got
did
all
the
them
same
nations.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
Them was Jews that came together when they wasn't successful, but eventually they had to kill him in the Romans. They had to kill him in the Senate. But they mustered up the same group of army to try to cut Caesar off when he crossed the Rubicon. Them the same people. That's how far they go back. They mustered up all these armies to try to cut him off, because nobody didn't think that a general would cross the Rubicon to come to Italy and to Rome. Well, Caesar, obviously Caesar knew something they didn't know. He came across there, and they mustered up this big legion army, and Caesar defeated him. Then they had to come another route. That's when they got together, Edomites, and killed him in the Senate. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
Thank you. No, sir.
So we open it up now for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything? Okay. Yeah. So I was telling you about we had this conversation last Thursday on the women's line about Sarah. So a book finally came in, right? So I'm gonna read some of it out here. This is what I mean. This is a prime example of getting the meat and leaving the bone. So in the prelude, let me show it to you right quick. You can do that. Right here go the book right here. Y'all see that? Do you see it?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
see
sir. Yes, sir.
Who is that?
So that's Sarah. Well, we know. But yeah, Sarah. But the lady that wrote it is Jill Elaine Smith. She is a Jew, and so like I was saying before, they have our records. They got access to our records. So when I'm getting ready to read, you got to ask yourself, "Oh, how would she know this?" Because it's spot on. It's spot on. So I'm gonna start reading it. Just a little prelude. It says, Sarah glanced down across the courtyard, catching Abraham's gaze. His half smile and his half smile and twinkled in his eyes warmed her more than the wine she had tasted at the start of the ceremony. Music drifted around them as the bridal couple, their nephew, check it out, their nephew Lot and his new wife, Mila, took their seats on the bench beneath the canopy and accepted rich food from the hands of her servants. This whole wedding is a disgrace. Check it out now. This whole wedding is a disgrace, you know. Sarah's sister-in-law, Milka, stood at her elbow and leaned close to her ear. Why her father agreed to the marriage after Lot, look at this. Why her father agreed to the marriage after Lot had already humbled her. This Lot now. Why would Abraham's father agree to this after Lot had already humbled her? Though I suppose he didn't have much choice. Who else would want her after she had already given in to Lot's charms? Milka batted at a fly, sending it away. I can't imagine why Lot couldn't wait until with such as one. It is not as though she's a beauty or a temptress. It seems like he could have done better. The last words came out in a whisper, and Milka moved in close again. Sarah turned from watching the bridal couple to meet Milka's pinched gaze. And if it is true that the babe is already on the way, so she already pregnant. They already came together. Come on. They already came together. He already got this girl pregnant. Lot already got her pregnant. So it's like a shotgun wedding. So anyway, if it is true that the baby is already on the way, it is better they marry. She had wearied. Let me see. She had wearied of the heated debate and shame Lot had brought down her household, particularly on Abram. Abatera, that's their daddy, seems pleased with the arrangement. Milka touched Sarah's shoulder and pointed toward her father, though his condition did seem a little harsh toward Lot. While Milka came away already with child and married to a man who can never put her aside or never take another. I might have given in to Nahor before our betrothal for such a promise. She laughed at that, then shifted her ample bulk, bursting with child herself, to face Sarah once more. Sarah shifted her hurt at the critical words, remembering her own wedding promises. Okay, this is Sarah, right? Sarah shifted her heart at the critical words, remembering her own wedding promises. Hers and Abraham. She smoothed imaginary wrinkles from her skirt and avoided Milka's pursuing gaze. I see I have upset you, Milka patted Sarah's arm. Your time will come, Sarah. At least you can rest in knowing Abraham loves you. If he didn't, it might have broken his vow to you long ago. She placed a protective hand over her middle and shook her head, her gaze pitying, though Sarah seemed as though, as she always did, a hint of arrogance in Milka's tone. The beautiful Sarah was barren. She became a fool, a laughing stock. She clenched her jaw and held herself erect, lifting a jeweled hand to her throat. Thank you, Milka. She forced a smile. If you will excuse me, I must check on the food. She glided away from the bench along the courtyard wall, skirted the crowds, and hurried into the house. The vows at her own wedding feast suddenly sharp in her ears. Here we go right here. I promise never to take another wife, Abraham said, his gaze full of love for her only. I promise to give you a child. That's what Sarah did at their wedding. It's their wedding vows. I promise to give you a child. Sarah had gazed into his handsome face, her heart doing a little dance at having finally convinced her father to let them marry. I hold you, my son Abraham, and my daughter Sarah, to your promises this day. If you, Sarah, do not fulfill your vow to my son, which is to give him a son, his vow to you is null. His father unwaveringly gaze had held her fast. How easy such a promise had seemed then. But after 32 years of marriage, she had not conceived. And her Milka was already with child even before her wedding day. She blinked back, she blinked back, stinging tears. Conversation and laughter filtered through the open window while a harpist played quiet music in the background. After the meal, there would be singing and dancing, and guests would remain until well past nightfall, only to return again on tomorrow for several more days of feasting. She rested her head against the cold limestone while aligning the comfortable sitting room unobserved by the servants as they rushed down the halls from cooking room with platters piled high with food. She had no reason to be jealous. She was mistress of a wealthy estate, wife to an finest noble, whose father had long held the king's ear, a princess of if ever there was one. But she could not stop the pain Milka presence always evoked. Milka always had one son who had weaned. Milka had already had one son who had weaned only 3 more months before. She did not deserve another so soon. I thought I might find you here at Abraham's voice. And Abraham touched her on the shoulder. She turned into his comforting embrace. What's wrong, dear one? Sarah released a troubled sigh and leaned back to better see his face. Milka. He nodded, but as his quizzical look, she knew he did not understand what she had said. She flaunted her swelling belly, and I have no patience for her criticism. Oh, he said, pulling her close again. Milka is jealous of your beauty, dear wife. She has nothing else to flaunt. He patted her back, but the action did not soothe. I would rather have a child than beauty. The words were much mere breath against her chest, but when his hands had stilled, she knew he had heard. And I would rather have you just as you are. He held her at arm's length. His gaze searching. Do not trouble yourself or deny joy to others, dear one. Just you have nothing to fear. She looked into his handsome face, cupped his bearded cheek with her hand. He still carried a vigor of one much younger, and she rested in his strength as he held her. But I do not fear, but I do fear, dear husband. I fear I have failed to give you what you most desire. Perhaps if I had been as Milka, you would already have a son. I deserve nothing. Sarah. What I possess is only a gift. Yahweh will give what he will. He lifted up her chin to look into her face. Lot will have to live with his errors. See, this is why Lot caused so much drama. Lot will have to live with his errors the rest of his days. Trust me in this, Sarah. A man who takes a woman before the proper time, that's Jacob, right? And Mary, before the proper time, lives with long regrets, whether he realizes it or not. Do you think Lot regrets marrying Milka? She whispered. Abraham often had Lot's ear. Abraham had given the younger man a soothing lecture after the truth had come out. Lot is too brash and too charming, though he did repent of his acts and agreed to the marriage. But then father gave him no choice. He would have to lose any inheritance if he had refused. Father has his honor. Lot should have had his son. Sarah looked into her husband's loving gaze, grateful all over again for such a man whose character surpassed most men in the city, even those in her own family, a man who had earned her devotion and her respect. Abraham bent to give her a gentle kiss. Come sit with me at the feast. You need not endure Milcah's pity on such a day. Tears rose again at his kindness, at how astute he could be to her emotions. He brushed the tears from her cheek and slipped her hand in his hand. Do not fear, Sarah. In his time, Yahweh will give us a son. And if it does not, he will discuss what to do about it then. She nodded, following his lead as he guided her back through the house to the courtyard. But as the music played around her and the well whisperers shouted blessings of fertility to the bride and groom as they entered into the sparkling bridal tent, Sarah could not stop the worrying or the fear. How flamboyantly she had promised her husband a child in order to convince her father to give her to Abraham. She did not know how much that vow would cost her then and how impossible it all was now. Okay, so that's the prelude. I got a little more to read, this as far as I got. But anyway, so that was a prelude. They set it up right there. Now we in chapter 1. It says, Terah, right, became the father of Abraham, Noah, Nahor, and Haran. Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans, and in the land of his birth. Abraham and Nahor both married. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, and the name of Noah's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Ishka. Now Sarah was barren, and she had no children. The Lord had said to Abraham, leave your country, your people, and your father's household to go to the land I will show you. So Abraham left, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. So that's how it starts, chapter 1. Then it goes, 15 years later, Sarah looked up at the great ziggurat of Nanor and took a step backwards. So this, in case you wonder what this is the Tower of Babel. So it says, Sarah looked up at the great ziggurat at Nanor and took a step backwards, overwhelmed as she always was at the enormity of the temple of Ur, the patron god, the steps rising upward. Check it out. This is where the drama come in at. The steps rising upward forever upward, drew her gaze to the triangular peak. It's a pyramid. It's God's eye viewed gazing down at her, watching. She shivered. Certainly the feeling came from more than just the soft breeze blowing down from the north. Abraham would not approve of her being here, right? Even protected by male slaves and accompanied by her maid Leela, her niece Milcah, and her servants, Abraham would still consider her unsafe for his beautiful wife. And if he knew her reasons, why she had come, right? Did you bring the likeness? Milcah stopped on the cobbled street and turned to look at her niece's face, still rosy with the freshness of youth, yet well tanned by the sun, held a glance at the excitement. It's here. Sarah patted the pouch at her side, tucked into her pocket of her robe. But I still do not see what good this would do. So here we go right here. The image. So what she did, she got an image. She done went to Nimrod now. Says the image was carved of olive wood, a pregnant likeness of her. So they didn't call the image of her but the image is pregnant. It says a pregnant likeness of Sarah with a crescent moon, symbols of a god, painted into clothing design. But could the gods really give Sarah the child she craved, or the son of milk alone for one who would live? While Abraham's brother's son lined his table like olive plants sprung up beneath the ancient flowering tree, Abraham's own table stood quiet and empty. Sarah would sacrifice her beauty to fill that void, to give Abraham a son. Milcah frowned and crossed her arms over her chest. It won't do any good at all if you don't believe, Sarah. Her gaze dropped to Sarah's flat stomach. Obviously, you need help. Come on. Obviously, she couldn't keep the sharpness or the sacrament from her tone, especially in front of their upstart niece, or the pains of guilt and the sadness from piercing her heart. Nevertheless, you should have done this years ago. Milcah's patronizing tone made Sarah bristle. You can't ask others to do the sacrificing and the petitioning for you. The goddess, see that? The goddess wants your devotion. If you want a child, you must worship the mother goddess. For even Ina came by her fertile power through her mother, Nigal. You've known this since childhood. Milcah turned, then looked back again. Of course, if you prefer Ina fertility rites, she smirked, and though the thought amused her, whether because she disdained Abraham's fate or because she could not imagine Sarah submitting to Ina sexual practices, probably both, considering Milcah's blatant interest in the love goddess and her impassions always. So that's where I'll stop right there. But now, you see how much information in that? Anybody got any comments on it? You get anything out of it?
Yeah. It's good information in that.
Okay. Get anything out of that? Yeah,
I don't know.
In the void.
I'm trying to get it, man. This sounds like, to me, it sounds like General Hospital or One Life to Live with biblical names attached to it. Okay. You know, it's like if she is a Edomite female who has where's thus saith the Lord in this shit. You know, so that's what I mean. It sounds like, you know, these people they have to write. So look at the person who wrote Harry Potter. That woman was deep in esoteric understanding to write something. And so, you know, I'm pretty sure if this is an Edomite female, that ain't something that was allowed by her rabbis to be writing about. This shit sounds like soap operas, man.
Okay, so let's look at it.
Biblical name.
So let's look at it. So how would she know? How would she get that information?
Of course she gonna get it, like you said. They got our scriptures, they got our understanding.
Exactly. So she's feeling in the
so hold up. So that also means that they can elaborate how they choose to elaborate on these stories.
Right. So Lot from a you know, spiritual perspective, all the drama that happened with Lot, can they tell us in the New Testament that you know, Most High God, he can make two children. He can make one of them wicked as hell, and he can make the other one righteous to his choosing. Is that true?
Of course.
Nah, hell no.
Why not?
No, that ain't true, because it's DNA. That's why he tell them, don't let your sons marry their daughters.
Oh, so you talking about straight up wickedness? But if when David chose to number the people,
right? David made a choice,
and he made a choice. That's what I mean.
Repercussions, there's judgment behind it.
Repercussions and judgments behind it.
Right,
so
we're looking at it right here. we looking at this right here.
Yeah.
All the drama that went on with Lot. We don't know where the drama coming from. Now we know. She just showed you what the drama was. He slept with a woman before it was time to sleep with her. Now, and then Abraham told her, this drama coming. But when we read what they gave us, we don't know why the drama came. Now this Brown telling us.
Right.
She filling in the blanks. See what I'm saying? That's what I was saying about being able to rightly divide when the truth. She can't write it in the same format that they got the King James in, but she had access to the knowledge. She done read it. They got books and places over there in Israel where they reading this stuff. We can't read it, but she read it. She got to be the read it to write this.
Right. I don't know, man. I'm still question that because look what they're doing with these red heifers.
I see it. That's how
you know. But
yeah.
I agree. I hear you. But look, still, what's going on with this red heifer nonsense? They very out of order with that.
Oh yeah. It's out of order. But how do they know to do what they're doing? That's my point. They it's like Back to the Future. When the guy in the movie Back to the Future, he going back and he got a time machine and he going back in the past. Now he's back in the future, so he knows just what to do. Because he
right.
Right.
You
know what I'm saying? So
right. That's true. Right.
You getting just like I was all those movies. Yeah, all those movies they making now. Like I said, it's total disrespect when you sitting there with a Noah wrapping a snake skin around his arm and it's glowing. When we know the story, God, the serpent wicked as hell. But you done made the movie, so you know something we don't know. You throwing us in the cross, and you know it's a nigga. See what I'm saying?
So that's what you did. So that's what you're saying right there. That's what you're saying is get the meat and spit out the bones. That's what we just supposed to be getting. Yeah, I got you now. I got it.
And so, like I was saying, all the places where it's a void at, she writing it in a novel, but she filling in blanks. How you able to do that? I mean, you precise with it. Even to the point with Sarah. You tell me now we see where the drama coming from that came to Abraham and Sarah. First of all, she told us both of them made a vow. When she vowed, she the only way she was able to marry Abraham, she vowed. She made a vow that she gonna give him a son. But Mosiah had other reasons. He had other plans. He closed her womb. And so we didn't know that part of it. All we know over here, there's drama's coming. And then, like I said, drama don't just come out the blue. It's cause and effect. It's something happened over here that's causing the drama over here. But we ain't getting what happened, what caused the drama. But she giving it to us. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Anybody got any comments? Anybody else?
Now I was listening to you. Did she cheat? Not say cheat on Adam. I mean, did she was she vetted before she married Adam? I mean, Abraham before she married. I'm sorry, Abraham. Did she was with someone before Abraham?
No, but when it first came on, Lot was getting married, and Lot had already slept with his wife before they came together. He had already slept with her. She was already with child.
Right.
So
Lot still. No, you probably don't. So and Lot still was like, yo, I'm gonna still marry her.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. If you're listening, but that's why I'm me, I play devil's advocate sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is, to make everybody just really pay more attention. So it's like, listen to what they're saying though. So it's no different than what we do today. So like Leonard said, it was a shotgun wedding that took place, So it was a rush situation that Lot made this. Am I right if I say irrational? decision.
Right.
It was an irrational decision to hurry up and marry this woman.
Right.
Because she was found with child. So this is where they get the whole story, this weirdo story. If you pay attention to it, it's very subjective towards the whole Jesus Christ story.
Exactly. They took it from
you
Lot.
understand this?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we know in the book of Jasher what a star. Who the star? The star came in the sky for Abraham. So you look at what they done over there. They're doing the same thing right here. They have to take the information out of the book because you're gonna see where they got it from. Like I just showed you about the 4 horses. The 4 horses in Revelation, they got it from Zechariah.
Yes, sir. So I apologize if I'm drilling onto this. I'm just trying to get an understanding. Right. Because that Abraham said that Sarah was his sister, so he would not be killed. That's right. Where I'm going at with the her being with someone before being with Abraham, because of the fact that he saw her, not Abraham, but he saw her as beautiful, and he would kill whoever was with Sarah just to have her. But because Abraham said he was her brother, he did not kill him. But yet he, because you read that part. So
yeah, that's later on in the story. This part here is before that.
Okay.
This later on in their life, when they went out and they ended up in Egypt.
Yes, sir.
But this part of what I'm reading right here in the life of Sarah is being placed in there, and they're giving you the missing parts of the story that's not in the King James.
Oh, right. Okay. The lost parts.
Yeah. Right. So can I break it down, Leonard, right quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
From what I'm getting is, you know what I'm saying, the great mother, Sarah. Right. She was observing things that's going on. Right? She's seeing what's going on with Lot and his betrothed. So that's what we at right here. We're listening through her observation of what's taking place.
Right. And it's filling in blanks because, like she said, what Abraham told her was, this is why Lot got so much drama with him, because of what he done right here. He humbled this woman, and he didn't do it the way it's supposed to be done by the laws, the Most High's commandments and laws. She already with child, and they haven't even went in the bridal chamber yet. So and because of that, he had to sleep with her, and that's the story of Jesus right there. That's where you can see where they got it from. Like I was saying about the star. The star in Joshua was Abraham was born. And so you got to know that makes all the sense in the world. But look at what happened look at Abraham's life. The star don't fit JC, but it fits Abraham.
Right.
Just like this. You can see it. That's why so much drama was with Lot. Right here. Drama don't just come out the blue. You had to initiate it, cause and effect. Right.
I see it now. Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
Hold up, Brother Leonard. I want to go back to something that you brought up. I don't know. It might have been a class before. Just real quick, might have been a class before before that when you was bringing up that, excuse me, Lot wasn't supposed to go with Abram.
Right. Exactly. Right.
You see, he wasn't supposed to go. He told, you know what I'm saying, Lord of Hosts told him, get thee out of thy kindred.
Right.
Get out of all thy kindred. But because Abram had a love for his nephew, he loved this nigga, right?
Right. But Abraham's brother Haran was killed because of
dead.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why he took
right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Look at our lives today. Is it any different? That's all I constantly stress to us.
Right.
It ain't no. That's some shit we would do. That's what we would do.
Right. And that's what I mean by getting the meat out. Like when you put it together from a Hebrew perspective and it's lining up, that's what I mean by getting the meat out. Yeah. So yeah, you see it. It all fits. It all go right together. You can see it. It's like somebody been lying to you about a certain situation. You got bits and pieces of it. So they refusing to tell you what they know, because when they tell you what they know, it's gonna fit right in the puzzle. So they ain't gonna tell you. So that's what they're doing. And now it's the Most High breaking it out. You already got all the other pieces. So when they give you that piece of the puzzle, you through discernment and the Spirit of the Most High, you say, boom, there it is right there. You know it. You know that's it. Ain't that something?
True, brother. True.
So it's very important for us to get the lost books and read them to match it up, so we won't be.
Right. Well, yeah, right. And you know, like I said, you know, you want to be around other people where y'all can bump it against. You can't. I mean, if you just getting into this, you can't just grab a book you want to grab and then start trying to make it work. It's like I deal with a few brothers around here. They continue to say that you know, there's certain people they don't want to be around. I'm gonna do it on my own. Well, you damn near 60 years old, you ain't got it on your own. What makes you think you're gonna get it now? So no, the Most High raising up men to give it to you, raising up people to help you. That's where we at. If you ain't got it 60 years by yourself, what the hell makes you think you're gonna get it now by yourself?
Okay. Right. Yo,
Sister
Cheryl, finish that question you was asking though. I want to hear that.
Okay. What question? I'm sorry. I thought we had got it done because I was jumped ahead of what was going on, and what I was saying about. Go ahead.
Yeah, you was right. You was right there. You was right there. That question you was about to ask was deep. It was, you know, it's like you saying about these books about grabbing.
Yes. We have to get the lost books like Jasher, Sarah, all those, to put things together so we know that the New Testament is just a play on what's going on in the Old Testament. Correct?
Exactly.
Shalom, everyone. Not only that, I think Sister Cheryl, just like Brother Leonard and Brother Mike was saying, when we read in Genesis about the Lord of hosts telling Abraham to get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, right? That's how it starts out. And we when Brother Leonard was reading out of the life of Sarah, now we understand more of why the Lord of hosts was saying that to Abraham. Because it just basically what we're thinking like, oh, that's a good thing, Abraham looking after his brother's son, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden in 12:1, we are reading where, the Lord of hosts is telling him, to get away from thy kindred, right? So to me, when Brother Leonard was reading that helped me understand better of why the Lord of hosts was saying that to Abraham. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yes, I understood about that part. Go ahead, Mike.
Right. So let's think about this. Right? Let's do the math on what happened. What was going on during Abraham's time and Abraham's existence? Brother Lynn was breaking this down to y'all the other night, right?
Right.
What was there?
Nimrod.
Nimrod. What does Nimrod represent?
Wickedness, the Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel. What is the Tower of Babel? Come on.
Nephilims.
No. What took place during Nimrod in the Tower of Babel? What did the Lord of Hosts do to these people?
It caused everyone the language to change.
He created confusion.
Right. Yes, sir.
You see? So that's why he told Abram to remove himself from confusion.
Okay.
You see that?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So his nephew was going to cause confusion and to separate. And just like you said, today's time, we want to keep family together, even when they are not doing the right thing.
Right. But look, so even in the canon, like you just saying, sis, even in the canon, his nephew created confusion, didn't he? Because what did it say? What the scripture say? Right? What does the canon say? That Abram's and Lot's herdsmen had confusion going on.
Yeah, strive with each other.
Yes.
So that's when you striving, that's confusion.
That's confusion. Yes, sir.
If you striving, that's confusion.
Right.
So this is how beautiful Abraham was. Abraham said, look, choose where you want to go. Now, understand a meek person. That's the whole thing we've been stressing. All praises to Brother Leonard. You understand? He's constantly telling us this. A meek person is going to ask you, what you want to do. So that's what Abram did to Lot. Where you want to go. Abram didn't say, look, I'm going to pick the best land. Abram didn't say, look, you're going to go that way. Abram said, I'm going to let you choose where you want to go. So now here we go, Sodom and Gomorrah. Y'all get it now.
Right. And it's just like it's nothing new under the sun. Just like he had to separate Adam in the garden, the man who he formed, he separated him, put him in the garden. He had to separate Adam, he had to separate Abraham from Lot. It ain't nothing new under the sun. But the thing, my thing was we never understood why. But now through this information right here, we see why. Because Lot had drama with him. Okay.
But yet didn't Abraham save Lot again? He saved him, like
right. When he went and rescued him.
So would that have been a bad thing that he rescued him?
That's just who Abraham is. Abraham was a righteous man, and that was his nephew. He felt obligated to him, like we were saying earlier, because of his brother, which is Abraham's brother, Haran, is Lot's son. Lot is his son, and Abraham felt obligated to take care of him because Haran got killed on Abraham's behalf.
Okay.
Nimrod killed.
Hold on. Let's realize the importance of that. And at exactly who Abraham is, then, if that's the case. So Leonard, what's that? That's one of Leonard's favorites. That's Genesis 18, right?
Right.
So look at that conversation. And so I'm not gonna waste time on that. You know what I'm saying? But pay attention to that conversation right there, because this is the conversation. Remember, the two angels left, and it was one that remained with Abraham, and look at the conversation that he had with that angelic being. If there's 50 that are righteous. So look at how long those verses were. Why? is because Abram was constantly thinking about his nephew that's in that land of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
So that's why God entertained. Let's say it again. That's why the Lord of hosts entertained Abram. So we got at least 10 verses of Abram saying if there's 50, if there's 45, if there's 35, if there's 30, if there's right. It's all. It was always about Lot.
Right.
And I always would read this over and be like, "Yo, why he gotta question? Why we gotta read this?" And God is every last time God is saying, "If I could find 20, I won't destroy it. If I can find 15, I won't destroy it." Why? Why was this such an important situation in Genesis that we had to read? And then now you understand. We starting to understand why. You know.
Right. And then also what was said about he told Abraham, "Get thee from thy country and from thy kindred." So it's more to that story because of notice in the verses you were just talking about, Abraham is not talking to the Lord of hosts directly. He talking about Lot, but he's not addressing Lot. He's saying he bringing out 50 people, 30 people, when really he want to say is Lot coming out of there.
Right.
So he want to address it. And how we know that, because look at when he told them that Ishmael ain't none of your heir.
Hello.
I mean, he says Isaac gonna be your heir. And then
Right.
Abraham said, "Oh, but Ishmael."
Right.
See what I mean? So it's the same thing.
Right.
Right.
This is crazy. It's beautiful, man. Yeah.
Right. Ain't that something? And you know, so many people they don't they're not seeing that part of it. It's just like I said with the you can't get around the fact that it's three angels came, and one of them is the Lord. And they just that's really elementary, one-on-one. It ain't God. And everybody, nobody can't sit and say that they never assumed that was God until it was broken down. And then once it's broken down, it ain't God. So you can't continue to hold on to that.
Hold on, Leonard. We gotta correct ourselves. All right. It ain't Yahweh.
Yeah, it ain't Yahweh. Yahweh, right? Exactly. Right, exactly. Ain't that something? Oh yeah.
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Yeah, I got this little clip right here. I don't know if anybody heard about, Ice Cube back on the scene with that Contract for America thing coming back up again. I figure it's because of the, another election coming up.
Thank you for everybody that's showing love to the channel early. So, but let's get into what's going on right now, right? Let's try to knock this out. I believe it was 2 days ago, right? It was 2 days ago. Ice Cube was trending on Twitter, for a good portion of the day. And when I finally clicked on his name to see what was going on, how could I say this? Black Democratic Party loyalists, right, were going crazy online. They were going crazy, completely losing their minds over like a recent statement Ice Cube made about Black America's relationship with the Democratic Party on this podcast called Full Send Podcast, right? And the Kamala Harris Brigade, as what I call them, was out in full force, right, in their attempts to do a cleanup job, basically for Black Americans that are in the sunken place, blindly voting Democrat year after year just to get nothing in return for their vote. And I think I'll show you right now when I say that the Kamala Harris Brigade. I can actually pull that up for you. I want to show you guys exactly who I'm talking about. Hopefully I have it bookmarked, which I should. Let me show you guys the Kamala Harris Brigade. I'm on Twitter right now. ADOS is trending. I haven't seen that trending in a while, but that's interesting. But I don't have time to click on that, unfortunately, to see what's going on. But let me show you the Kamala Harris Brigade, right? I think you guys will find this humorous. Here we go. Share the screen. And I think you all will know most of them as well. But here's the Kamala Harris Brigade. How many of you are familiar with these people that are on your screen right now? Are you familiar with them? This is the Kamala Harris Brigade. They were out in full force, and it wasn't just them, right? It wasn't.
Tomorrow is a long time.
Or the Democrats. I created a document called The Contract with Black America that spelled out a lot of different issues that we believe were the reason why it was so much unrest after George Floyd was killed. And I released the document, and everybody wanted to talk to me. The Republicans asked to talk to me, and the Democrats. I went to talk to both of them about the contract. The Republicans asked, could they implement some things from the contract into their proposal? And I said the document was open for anybody to use in any way they desired. So if they just want to use it as educational purposes, they could. They wanted to add more, paragraphs or more ideas to it, they could. They wanted to use it to get a law change, they could. So I didn't mind them using it. I met with the Democrats. The Democrats said, we like 90% of what's in there, and we'll talk to you after the election about it.
There's like a stigma amongst like the African American community to like Republicans and stuff like.
No, here's what really sent everybody through the roof is when he responds to this. So I apologize for interrupting. Let me start his question over again. This is what really had the, Democrats on Twitter, the Black Democrats and the Kamala Harris Brigade going crazy
after the election about it.
There's like a stigma amongst like the African American community to like Republicans and stuff like that.
I don't know what's going on in the African American community when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like, Black people have supported Democrats, overwhelmingly for 50, 60 years. And nothing has changed. So something's got to change.
Now tell me, did he say anything wrong? What did Ice Cube say that was actually wrong? What did he say that was incorrect? What did he say that was, unintelligent, nonsensical? What did he say that wasn't true or factual? Everything he said was spot on. And the thing that kills me the most is that it is amazing, right? And yeah, some of you are saying that's all he said. That's literally all he said. If you're wondering why he was trending, I'm sure some of you saw he was trending on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, if you're wondering why he was trending for like 2 days straight, that's literally all he said. And they were going crazy. And I see the comments coming in. He didn't say anything wrong. All factual. He didn't say anything wrong. But one of the things that kills me the most is that when it comes to the Black people, right, in America, Black Americans, it's amazing how much of a crime it is to tell Black people in America to consider thinking differently. When you say something like that, to consider thinking differently as it pertains to politics, it's as if you've told Black folks the most egregious thing
in the world. And if you're listening to Q and you look at his approach, he's not telling anybody to go either way. He's actually showing us the correct way to do it. You come up with your plan, your black agenda, you present it to both parties, and whichever one bites or says they'll implement it, that most likely will be the way that you'll go to vote, based off whichever party says that I'm going to support your agenda, or I'll implement it, or I'll implement parts of it, right? That's actually what makes logical sense. It makes logical sense to approach politics that way. But if you tell black people that, it's as if you said something completely insane. It's insane to say something like that, because black people are just supposed to be, one-dimensional thinkers, one-track minded. It's Democrat or bust. And the reality is that we've been busting. Pause. I'm not from New York, but I thought about that.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's difficult. It's very difficult for people in this day and age to really care about what Ice Cube has to say about anything. You done made a lot of money.
Okay.
From your inception, bro, which was, NWA, crazy mother named Ice Cube, and behavior and phenomenon, how you tell people now. So where is it that we're supposed to?
You're in the Matrix.
Can you hear me?
Now, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for people to look at you as a political activist. And I know that's something that he's been trying to do for a while, but you can't run away from, all the makeup that you had on, all them years, all them goofy movies you made, and, Barbershop and Are We There Yet? And for people to look at you and be like, yo, yeah, this person is serious about what he's been talking about. And, yo, you're a part of the boule, you're a part of the system. So, that's they're not really looking at you that way, that you want them to look at you. It's not like you've been a most deaf throughout your whole career. Nah, you shucked and jived. You dance for them folks.
Right. Is that something? Yeah. Anybody else got any comments on that?
No, sir. Just that there's more to come. The election time, like they said, election time is coming up, so he's back on the scene.
Yeah, it's warming up. Right. That's something. Yeah. So nobody have anything else to say? We had 2 hours. We're going to close out right here, and then we're going to be back in the morning at 10 o'clock for our Shabbat class. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say shalom. I'll see everybody in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Oh.